post. He's out. William on the drive. Pull up. Got it!
A grand slam for Masters. Witherspoon in the corner, on the way and good.
More big hit in him. A bomb. Shapen, wide open, caught across the middle. Thompson, touchdown. Mississippi State, the national champions.
Wrap it in maroon and white.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Breakdown presented by the Bulldog Student Sports Network. My name is Connor Davis, alongside my co-host Ty Golmon for episode 5 of our brand new show. I can't believe it's already episode 5. Usually we start off every single episode with other sports before we get into all this action. I mean, we got 4 sports now on episode 5. So let's go ahead and hit us with the other sports we have for today.
All right, I got you, Connor. So got 2 other sports we're going to talk about first, and they both happen to be tennis. This time we'll talk about, at first, women's tennis. 2 Lady Bulldogs had a really good run at the ITA Southern Sectional Championships with a victory over the top-seeded pair in the tournament from the University of Tennessee. The pair qualified for the NCAA Double Championships in Orlando starting on November 18th. And then we move to the men's side of things in tennis. Brian Hernandez-Cortez qualified for the NCAA singles last week at the ITF Men's 25 in East Lansing, Michigan. Mississippi State will compete at the NCAA Championships in Orlando starting on November 18th, and that'll do it for our other sports. Let's swing it into volleyball.
It's just tennis on the docket for the other sports, but we mentioned last week briefly, volleyball played Oklahoma last Wednesday. We put the score up on the board for that one. But you played Arkansas last Friday, and Ty, it's feeling like a little bit of deja vu. Another Friday matchup for volleyball where you won 3-1 on the road in Fayetteville. Really good defensive performance, especially in those last 2 rounds for Mississippi State. What did you notice when the Dogs went to Fayetteville?
Yeah, I mean, really took advantage. You talked about the last 2 sets. I thought just in the first set in general, took advantage of Arkansas errors in the first set. Arkansas had a lot of errors in that set. State took advantage of it, won that one. It will move into set 2, so I want to kind of move through it 1, 2, 3, 4. Really struggled in that second set. It really that was easily the worst set for Mississippi State in the match. 9 errors and 0.87 hitting percentage. So definitely struggled in that one. State, though, able to battle back. Dominated sets 3 and 5. I believe a 395 hit percentage in one of them and then an over 400 hit percentage in the other. So dominated sets 3 and 4. Lindsey Mangelson with another excellent game, 429 hit percentage with 21 kills, which led the team. Bernardita Aguilar as well, a nice performance, 14 kills for State. State took care of business there after a loss to Oklahoma previously in the week.
Yeah, and now you're 16-7 overall, but we go to this Friday coming up on the schedule for volleyball, 2 home games this weekend. So Friday and Sunday. You play Missouri Friday. They're 500 on the road, 16-9 overall. They're 7-6 in the conference. You are 6-7 in the conference for Mississippi State. Vandy, very manageable game. They're 2-7 on the road, 6-16 overall. They're 2-11 in the conference. Could you win both these games this weekend? I think it's super, super winnable. What do you have to do if you're Mississippi State?
I think, just play the way you played in sets 3 and 4 against Arkansas. Played really, really well. It's going to be tough to do against Missouri. A 16-9 team overall, as you mentioned, 7-6 in conference play, but 4 of their 6 conference losses have been on the road. So this is a team that doesn't play as well on the road in SEC play. Only 2 of conference road wins. Those were to Tennessee and Auburn, who Mississippi State lost to previously in the season. But a team that struggles on the road, you'll have a good environment there early in the week. I believe on Friday we play that one, so should have a good environment at the Grist. Be sure to pack the Grist. And then Vandy, a manageable one, kind of like the Arkansas match, should take advantage. Interestingly enough, Missouri, they beat Missouri and Arkansas, so that's very interesting with their 2 conference wins, beat Missouri and Arkansas. So a team you can't play around with, can't do that in any SEC game. I mean, State saw that in set 2 against Arkansas. Arkansas able to win that one. So State, should have a good opportunity to win. Should have a good home advantage on Friday and Sunday. Looking forward to it. Hopefully volleyball can cap off what's been a pretty good season.
Yes, you got to win your sets when it comes to volleyball. Show up this weekend. You have 2 games at home, but we move to soccer after a bye in the first round of the 2024 SEC Tournament. Mississippi State proceeded to beat Tennessee 2-1 in the quarterfinals. Then you lost to South Carolina 3-0 in the semifinals. It happened again this past SEC Tournament. 2025, same outcome, different coach. Impressive performance by Nick Zimmerman and the Bulldogs in this year's SEC Tournament and the regular season, I think, because now you have a first-round host in the NCAA Tournament. But you fell 3-1 against LSU in the semifinals. What'd you notice during that soccer game?
LSU really got after us in the first half. 3 goals in that first half in that one. You kind of expected LSU to do that. I mean, they're one of the best goal-scoring teams in the Southeastern Conference. They were number 25 coming into that one. I believe they're hosting as well in the NCAA Tournament down there in Baton Rouge. So, got after us in the first half. State able to fight back, though. They got a goal from Tatum Borman in the 43rd minute, right? And State had more shots than LSU did in the second half. Just, at the end of the day, just couldn't convert and couldn't, come back from the deficit that was put on them there in the first half. So LSU, a good team, like I mentioned, can score a lot of goals. Obviously, a disappointment to end the SEC tournament after, a great win over Arkansas and a good win in the first game against Oklahoma as well. Battled to the very end in that one. So, a tough end to the SEC tournament, but I tell you what, it didn't hurt you to lose to LSU, I don't think. I mean, this is a team that's number 25 in the country, a top 25 RPI, and it obviously didn't hurt you to beat Arkansas because now, Connor, you're hosting in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so let's go to that. You're now hosting. You bring in Lipscomb coming to Starkville, which is good for this Saturday in the first round of the NCAA tournament. How does State fare against this team? Now, Lipscomb is undefeated at home. They're 10-0-2 at home on the season. But lucky for State, all their losses on the season stem from struggles on the road. They are 4-5 on the road. State 12-6-1 on the season. You kind of got a little bit of stat to play with on there, a little bit in your favor. How do you think State fares against this team?
Well, a good thing to come into this game and into this hosting, that Mississippi State's doing. A good thing to look at, this will be the 4th straight year State has hosted the NCAA tournament here in Starkville. So great to see our program continue to succeed. Last time out, Lipscomb defeated Mississippi State in the NCAA tournament with a win in Starkville in 2018. Lipscomb won the Atlantic Sun Conference tournament recently. They finished 14-5-2. Only game against an SEC opponent this year was against Alabama. They lost 3-0 in that game. So Bama dominated them. State defeated Alabama this season. So, look out for Haley Johnson, their leading goal scorer. Has scored 10 this season with a 64% shot on goal percentage. So look out for her. State got to be able to keep them off of. Don't allow goals. Obviously, I mean that's the goal of every soccer game. I think we can be able to do that. Jenny Harrison has played well. Obviously a tough draw against one of the SEC's best scoring offenses against LSU. I think she can do all right. I think State's offense is pretty good, and they're in a good spot right now. We'll see how State plays. I think just play your brand of soccer, play tough physical defense. I think you can get a win in this opening round of the NCAA tournament.
We talk about complete games in other sports. I think soccer is the same way. You didn't score anything against LSU in that second half. You really got to play complete when it comes to the NCAA tournament. But complete is what happened in another sport. We go to basketball. Let's start with the women. You're now 3-0 on the season, undefeated. 2 of those wins came this weekend at home in Starkville. Georgia State, you beat them 88-62. Mississippi Valley State, that's 107-43. Now, what I'm noticing from these 2 games, Mississippi State's offense was rolling. What'd you notice when you called those two games.
Yeah, you're exactly right with saying that. State shot the ball well against Georgia State, shot the ball well also against Mississippi Valley State. 52% from the field in both of those. Shot 50% from three in the game in the win over Georgia State, around 47% from three in the win over Mississippi Valley State. So talk a little bit about Georgia State, and then I'll move to Mississippi Valley State. Cleaned up the boards. They did that in the game against MVSU as well. 45-27, they won the boards against the Panthers. Got to continue to work on turnovers, right? 15 in that game. That's really the only thing that held State's offense back. And then you move into defensively. Defensively, they played well. Played well. Georgia State just made some shots down the stretch, and some tough shots at that. Love the fast-paced, identity that Mississippi State's defense has this year. So I thought they played well. I think they played well in every game so far this season. Wade Dozie, the leading scorer in that one, was 17. Also had 10 rebounds for a double-double. You had McFall, Finney, Lampley, and Francis also in double digits. You look at the Valley game, State wins 107-43 in that one. Shot well again, as I mentioned, 52% from the field. Really good from the free throw line, which is something they struggled in the first game in the win over Davidson. Missed 10 free throws. I believe only missed around 2 free throws in that one against Mississippi Valley State, so shot well there. Never wavered offensively in the game. 24 points in the first quarter, 25 in the second quarter, 27 in the third quarter, and 31 in the fourth quarter. So they finished really well in that ball game. State controlled the boards again. Did well with second chance points. 21 offensive rebounds, so did a good job. Forced 21 turnovers, played defense well again. 11 blocks in the game, 13 steals, 5 of those from Madison Francis, who's going to be exciting to watch for Mississippi State. So overall, played really well, did what you had to do, and took care of business against those two teams.
Yeah, and the numbers look great. You put those performances of Georgia State, Mississippi Valley State together, you still beat them 107-105. So your numbers look good this past weekend, but can they look good on Thursday? Mississippi State, Jackson State comes to town for a little bit of in-state action here in Starkville, Mississippi. Ty, you going to be calling this game?
Yeah, should be.
Okay, well, what's going on there? What you think?
Well, Jackson State 1-1 so far in the season. Season opener win over Mississippi University for Women over in Columbus, and then a loss to Tennessee Tech. I believe they lost that game by 3. Really, main thing is just, I always say this, Connor, handle business. Just take care of business. The team you should beat. Now, Jackson State, over the past couple of years, has had success in women's basketball. It's made the tournament a couple times, so as a 16 seed. So, this is a good program, and I think, Jackson State going to play better, I think, than Mississippi Valley State. And we'll just have to see what State does. I think, main thing is don't turn the ball over. That sounds so simple, but it's very important because State shoots it so well. I don't think they're going to struggle if they don't turn the ball over very much. And the number for turnovers has gone down each game. It went down by 1 from the Georgia State game, the Mississippi Valley State game. So it's gone down. Just continue to clean up the turnovers. Play that tough, fast brand of defense that you've been playing. Speed them up. Create turnovers for them. And I think, look at some of the young players, get them going off the bench. Jada Lampley, Madison Francis has been great off the bench. So excited to see what State's got. This should be a game State should win. Looking forward to calling it on Thursday, Connor.
Yes, you got to keep your offense rolling if you are Mississippi State women's basketball. But is that what happened when it came to the men? We moved to men's basketball. You lose 96-80 in a neutral site game against Iowa State. I'm not trying to make excuses, Ty. They did play on a Monday. Mondays are very difficult days. I'm not sure how you felt yesterday, but it was on a Monday.
That is true. It's a long way to go playing Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So
yeah,
long way from Starkville, Mississippi.
A long way, but I have a lot of stats here, but I want you to talk about it firsthand. We'll kind of move together. And what you notice during that game?
Well, I'll talk firsthand on game 1. Just kind of give that. I know we mentioned and put the score up in the last video.
North Alabama.
But I'll just mention that just a little bit, and then we can both talk about the Iowa State game. State wins over North Alabama on Wednesday, 86-62. Ended the game on a 44-14 run. Really dominated late after North Alabama, had it close at halftime and had a really good start to the second half. State dominated the rest of the way. Forced some tough shots on North Alabama. I thought they played good defense overall. North Alabama just knocked them down really, and it kind of wore off as the game went on. They started not making those shots. State took advantage, controlled the rebounds. Hubbard had 27 in that game and only 7 turnovers in that game, which is interesting because now we move into the Iowa State game. State turned the ball over 26 times in the 16-point loss to Iowa State, Connor.
29 points off turnovers for Iowa State. You really can't have that happen, Ty. I mean,
no,
what
to
was
win a
going
game
on there for 26 turnovers?
To win a game, I mean, 26 turnovers. You're in
Against a team that good.
I mean, that's a bad recipe to try and win a game against any team, and especially against the top 25 team in Iowa State. Yeah, you mentioned 29 points off turnovers, 26 total. And you know what's interesting about that, Connor? State shot right around 50% from the field. I mean, State shot well the entire game, and you look at it, it's like, hey, if you don't turn the ball over that much, this is probably a single-digit game.
Or a win.
It's a lot closer. Could have been a win. Iowa State definitely would have got as many shots or more shots than they did. They outshot. They had 12 more shots than Mississippi State. So that would have cut back on some of the shots that Iowa State took in the ball game. You just don't turn the ball over as much, right? You're going to be, I think it's a single-digit game. You could have won. It wouldn't have looked as bad, right? But, just turn the ball over so much. And you also look at, too, Iowa State went to work in the paint. 56 points in the paint. And what's actually impressive about that, just talking about inside basketball, State actually out-rebounded them. And with Iowa State making 12 shots more, or shooting more, or 12 shots more than Mississippi State, and also with Iowa State dominating inside, you would feel like Iowa State would have controlled the boards. They didn't in the ball game.
Well, I don't know if that's because Keyshawn Murphy left. We're not have a big guy down there that's able to score. The rebounds are there, but you struggle in the first half. 53 points for Iowa State, 35 for Mississippi State, but you got better in the second half. 3-point percentage, 46 for Mississippi State, only 10 for Iowa State. This tells me great perimeter D. You just couldn't guard down low for all those points in the paint. But we move on. We preview this next game this Saturday. Southeastern Louisiana comes to Starkville. You got to build your confidence back if you're Mississippi State, especially after turning the ball over 26 times. Ty, how do you do that?
Just simplify things. Iowa State hurried Mississippi State up so much in that game. You could tell State just seemed to have so much pressure on them. I think, and it's good to have also Southeastern that's not obviously as good of a team as Iowa State. So it's good to have them come in. Maybe you can prosper off of not as good of competition. That's just simply how it is. Simplify things offensively. Make smart passes. Don't make stupid passes. We made a lot of stupid passes in that game against Iowa State. Make some smart passes. Flow the offense the right way. I think things will work out if you don't turn the ball over, considering how well you've shot in the last 2 games. And then defensively, cut down the passing lanes. You can't allow that many paint points. And there was too many open passes into the lane for Iowa State. Can't allow that. And just overall, to just cap this off, up the physicality. You play some physical basketball. This is a team that you can do it against. I think you have to. I think you got to establish some kind of physicality both on offense and defense. Establish the physicality in the game. Go take care of business against Southeastern Louisiana.
And if you look at it, I agree. Josh Hubbard, these past couple of seasons, has been trying to fall into this facilitator role for Mississippi State's offense.
Got to get some other people involved.
Exactly, and that's one thing that I was going to note. But for facilitating, we might have a little bit of a facilitator on our hands when it comes to Mississippi State football. It was the military appreciation game this past Saturday for Mississippi State in Davis-Wade Stadium. Now 5-5 on the season. Mississippi State loses 41-21 against the other conference Bulldogs. That's Georgia. Great offense performance against Mississippi State. as cold as it is today, it was super, super hot in Davis Wade Stadium during that game. I don't know if you could tell. I don't know if anybody else could tell. I'm a little bit of sunburnt. I don't know if you could tell, maybe on the upper cheeks. But, you know, I went to SEC Nation. I went to the game. Fantastic for me.
Great atmosphere.
Yes.
Great atmosphere.
The atmosphere was there.
The fans brought it. The fans brought it. It's just, you know, State wasn't able to bring it completely in that game. Like you mentioned, lost 41-21. You talk about Georgia playing, you know, such great offense. I think that's one of their best games, Connor, that they've had up to date. I mean, that was a complete football game for them. Outside of the first quarter looked a little iffy. State actually led after the first quarter 7-3. But, you know, State just couldn't find any momentum at all.
You didn't have an answer defensively.
Exactly.
You want me to read you off those offensive stats?
Well, I mean,
you have them down?
I have one. I mean, that'll tell you everything. 567 total yards of offense for Georgia in the football game.
But let's break it down a little bit, because we talked about last week that you had to keep Gunnar Stockton from getting hot. 18 for 29, 264 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Then on the run, Ty, Nate Frazier, 12 carries, 181 yards, and a touchdown.
I mean, he had multiple big runs,
I know.
too. I mean, that also, you can figure that out with him just having 12 carries and for that much yards. Yeah, he had multiple big carries. State got gashed consistently on defense. And, you know, the big thing is, too, you look at the offense for Mississippi State, I think the game really changed and the momentum really changed after, you know, State's defense gets to stop in the goal-to-go situation, right? Georgia had it goal to go. State forces a fumble defensively. State gets the ball back. And then State moves it down the field a little bit. And I feel like the game changed right after the Blake Shapen fumble on third down. That's exactly when I feel like everything switched in the football game. Georgia scored 35 unanswered points from that point on. State would, you know, score some more, scored 2 more touchdowns in the ball game. Camario Taylor responsible for every single touchdown in the game for Mississippi State. But, you know, past that point in the first quarter, when Shapen had the fumble, it just felt like everything switched in the football game, and Georgia just dominated. I mean, when I say Georgia dominated, in every facet Georgia dominated. You could tell who had the better athletes on the field, and that's just plain and simple. It is what it is. That Georgia at this point has the better team, the better athletes. Maybe State can get to that at some point, but that's just what it was on Saturday.
Well, let's look at this. You talk about getting gashed. A part of that is because half your starting secondary was gone. Isaac Smith out of it for injury. Couldn't even stand on one of his feet. Brylan Lanier out from injury. Jerron Manning out from a targeting call. Questionable targeting call. Might add, I don't think it was targeting. I don't necessarily want to get into that.
Just by rule it is targeting. It was, I believe, forcible contact to the head or neck area on a defenseless player. I know we don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But what is a defenseless player, and how can you blame Jerron Manning for making a hit like that? Tight end was already so low to the ground. He's trying to make a play on the football. The ball was incomplete. The play was called incomplete. So, you know, he's trying to make a play. I can't blame the kid. Not going to get into it. But
to me, it's teach tape, though. These are the type of tackles you teach kids that are going up.
I mean, he did the right thing, and obviously no malicious intent at all with the tackle. I mean, I guess, you know, they just have to throw it by rule because it's a defenseless player. I just never have understood the defenseless player part. I mean, he's turning around to try and run up the field and try and catch the football. What do you want him to do? Not tackle him? But that's you know, that's for another day. But you know, yeah, didn't help that State had all of those guys in the secondary out.
But we moved. I want to talk about a little bit about offense, because this is one thing that I noticed. Your first offensive drive was fantastic. 5:34 you took off the clock, over 5 minutes. Exactly what you want to see from an offense. You scored a touchdown. Let's look at the next 5 drives, Ty. 3-and-out punt. You fumbled, what we talked about earlier. You punted again, turnover on downs, half happened. The 5th drive, you punted again, but then the freshman hopeful came in, Camario Taylor, down the road from Noxubee County. You talked about it. He was responsible for all 3 touchdowns for the day. All of them were rushing touchdowns. He came in after a brutal hit on Blake Shapen. What did you notice? I just want to focus on Camario, because he's probably going to be the starting quarterback when it comes to Missouri this Saturday. It's not looking good for Blake.
Yeah, we'll
Shapen,
see.
we'll see what happens.
We'll see with Shapen. He got hit hard in that one, so we'll see. You'll see where we go and see where Coach Jeff Levy goes. But Camario, I thought he played well. Missed on a couple of passes. I believe he was 6 of 10 throwing the football under 100 yards.
Most of them were deep passes anyway.
Yeah, most of them were.
Sometimes
But he
hit
did.
in games before.
And he did hit on one deep there late in the ball game, and State scored a touchdown on that drive. So he missed on a couple of easy ones. I think that comes from he's just been on the bench most of the season. So I think that's where that comes from, is he's just not used to being out there and throwing the football. Still 6 of 10, not a bad completion percentage at 60. And he adds such a new element to State's offense with how he can get out of the pocket and how he can run. I mean, it's a completely new guy you've got to adjust to.
And game plan.
Exactly.
Georgia didn't really have an answer for him.
Exactly. As a defense, it's a complete new guy that you have to game plan for and adjust to. And I think that bodes well for Mississippi State. State's got more dimensions to their offense. So I thought he played well. It'll be interesting to see what we do, especially if Shapen is healthy going into the game on Saturday. I'm not going to offer an opinion on who I think I should start. I know who I want to start. I'm just not going to talk about it. But I think either way, I don't think you're at fault either way if you try and start Camario Taylor. I think that's just as good of a decision as trying to start Blake Shapen.
And it really wasn't his fault for the hit, right? I mean, as much as we like to harp on Jimothy Lewis, he played some pretty good brand of football.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the offensive line.
But the offensive line in general.
Offensive line has struggled. And it's not good. And I'll just call it for what it is. Shapen doesn't obviously have the run ability that Camario Taylor has. He just doesn't possess that skill set. You see Camario Taylor be able to get out of the pocket. That's something that Blake just can't do. He's just not as good at it as Camario is. And with Blake, that doesn't really bode well when you have an offensive line that has struggled in pass pro this season. So I think when you look at it, I think you take less of a risk for sacks if you start Camario, because I think he has the ability to get out of the pocket. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to offer an opinion on it too much. I don't know what we're going to do. It'll be an interesting decision, definitely. And I think both guys have their own, unique abilities that give us ways to win, but we've just got to execute better as a whole offensively in order to help our quarterbacks out.
Yeah, and that's fine, but that's going to be the question when it comes to this Saturday. We travel to Columbia, Missouri. You have to figure out how to get things done and take care of business. This is the 6th all-time meeting for Missouri in the series. Missouri 3-2 advantage on Mississippi State after earning a 39-20 victory in Starkville last season.
How about the last time Mississippi State traveled?
You let me
you're going?
I had it up right there. Hold up. Get back to my camera. Let me get this straight. You won 31-13, and I know you were going to say it in 2015. You're still looking for bowl eligibility the first time in 2022. How do you get that, Ty?
Well, hey, who was your starting quarterback in 2015?
It's Prescott.
Dak Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
Dak Prescott with a good game on the road, a rainy game. Stayed able to come out on top there in 2015. That was a fun one. Missouri now in the present, 2025, 6-3, 2-3 in the SEC. Just an overlook on them. They've struggled offensively as of late after losing Bo Pribula. It's been a struggle, at least in the passing game. I believe only had 77 passing yards, starting a true freshman, Matt Zollers. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. A true freshman quarterback. Obviously a tough defense to go against for him in his first start in that Texas A&M defense. It's one of the best in the country. They have struggled offensively passing the football. It really makes them one-dimensional running the ball. They got a lot of options, especially Ahmad Hardy, who's the leading rusher in the SEC, the 3rd overall leading rusher in college football. So just offensively, if you want to start talking there about Mississippi State's defense and Missouri's offense, definitely they've struggled as of late because they really don't have much of a pass game. They have Kevin Coleman, who transferred from Mississippi State last year now into this year, but it's tough for him to get involved when just you don't really have as good of a quarterback as you had with Bo Perbula.
And they have their own little fluff Bothwell when it comes to Missouri. You know, Ahmad Hardy was one of those type of guys that was also
Transfer from the Sun Belt.
Exactly. So you have to figure out, but with Fluff Bothwell, you have to figure out how you run the ball effectively this season. You cannot have your quarterback be the leading rusher on your team like it was this past week against Georgia. State averages 156.8 rushing yards a game this season. That's the highest since 2019 when they averaged 220.6. You got to figure out how to run the ball, Ty.
All right, let's talk about offense first. Then we'll talk about offense. Okay, yeah, got to figure out how to run the ball. Can't have your quarterback be the leading rusher for 2 straight weeks in a row against an SEC opponent. Just not going to work. We've really lacked in blocking in general over the last 2 games. And for the last while, it's just been tough for us to run the ball, been tough for us to throw the ball, with pass blocking. I think if you do start Camario, and Camario is your quarterback, you're going to have, as I mentioned, a new dimension in your offense, somebody they got to look at, and he doesn't have a lot of tape on film, so maybe that comes to Mississippi State's advantage. Hasn't played as much this season. We'll see what State can do if we have Camario. I think that he's going to be able to run the ball just fine. You got to guard a whole new guy. Booth and Bothwell have struggled over the past couple of games. They're still quality running backs. Don't get that twisted. Passing the football, I think Brendan Thompson and Anthony Evans are 2 of the best receivers in the SEC. Top 10, both of them are in receiving yards in the conference. So
Thompson leads it now.
Yeah, I mean you have a ton of talent offensively. Just starts in the trenches. Got to block better. Have to block better. And this is a defense that is kept them in the last 2 games and in the last 2 losses. The loss to Vanderbilt, the loss at A&M. You look at the 38 points scored by A&M, but early on it was a defense that was holding Missouri, close with Texas A&M. So the number 10 defense in the country for the Tigers. So
second in the conference.
Exactly. So this is a good defense, and State no stranger to playing good defenses. We'll see what they can do offensively. You want to hit defense real quick?
Yeah, and it's usually not run blocking we're talking about. What I want to see from Camario too is when he plays his reads, he loves to keep the ball a lot. I'd love to see him just hand it off a couple times, see what we can do with Devon Booth and Fluff Bothwell. But we do move the defense. You got to stop them on 3rd down. That's one thing that I noticed while looking at the notes. They are 3rd on 3rd down in the SEC. That's 15th nationally. But you can't rely on penalties to save you from creating a less manageable 3rd down on that. This is a very disciplined football team led by Eli Drinkwitz. Ty, they're 1st in the conference in penalties.
Yeah, definitely. Drinkwitz a good coach, maybe a candidate for some jobs around the country and around the conference. But besides that, yeah, this is an offense, at least it has one dimension to them, and that's the run game. I mean, Ahmad Hardy has been fantastic this season, transfer out of UL Monroe, transfer out of Louisiana Monroe, a Mississippi kid, grew up in Lawrence County, Mississippi, went to Lawrence County High School, so he has been great this season. SEC's leading rusher, 3rd overall in the NCAA in rushing the football, so you cannot get gashed like you did against Georgia. Got to find a way to stop the run consistently in that one. That's really going to be their only thing. It's probably going to be their bread and butter because I don't think they're going to have very much success throwing the football against a secondary that's very, very good this season. If you can get some guys healthy in that secondary too, that'll be big. Kelly Jones, I thought he played well against Georgia. So even though Georgia scored 41, they really didn't throw much on his side, and when they did, it was an incomplete pass. So
or pass breakup.
Exactly. So I think I don't think they're going to have much success passing the football. Hopefully, I don't have to eat my words on that. Got to cover, got to stop the run, force some turnovers. Something State's lacked to do really in the last 2 games. Only one turnover in the last 2, and this is a team maybe you could do that against. Missouri tied for 95th in the country in turnover margin, so a team that maybe turns the ball over a little bit more than they want to. Overall, though, I think State has got an opportunity here. This is a Missouri team on a 2-game losing streak. I think State's got an opportunity maybe to get a big win on the road and get bowl eligible.
And State's defense moves to 14th overall in the conference. We'll see how they fare against Missouri's offense with a little bit of wounds, but that's going to do it for us. We'll see how Mississippi State does this Saturday against Missouri as they travel to Columbia, Thank you for watching episode 5 of the Bulldog Breakdown presented by the Bulldog Student Sports Network. My name is Connor Davis, my co-host Ty Golmon, and we will see you next week with all the updates and scores from the games we just discussed in this episode. Goodbye.